This is Anthony, and we're here with Trudi on Clean Humor tonight. We have some guests with us from Comet Pumps. We got Raj and Pete with us tonight. We're going to discuss the new P40 put out by Comet. It's a nice little machine. I finally got my hands on one. No thanks to my buddy over there. But it's a good machine. I like it so far. Don't have no complaints. Got to do some little tweaking on it and stuff. Just getting it set up the way we want. We're going to talk about how to set it up, what best hose to use, size hose, gun, whether the red, the blue, the green, the water balls, water spigot hose, whatever you want to put on it, whatever the best is for it. That's what we're going to nail down tonight. We're going to talk about Comet Pumps. Then we're going to talk about the Panhandle event in November. If you guys ain't got registered for that yet, it is at panhandleexpo.com. Go get registered for that event. It's in November. It's contractor training. It's all free. So come on down to Panama City Beach in November and have a good time with us. So, gentlemen, which one of y'all guys wants to start?
I'll let Pete start. Pete, introduce himself and tell a little bit about what we're going to be discussing. P40 Softwash.
All right. Well, first, let me say that Trudi and Anthony, you guys are like the most famous people in the soft wash market that I've never really had the time to spend with you. I think I met Trudi at the huge convention for a very short period last year, but it's finally nice to put faces and with names, and I'm glad to be on your channel here. So
it's good to have you. If you ever have a chance to talk to her, it's briefly at shows because she's like,
yeah, I think that's what I experienced. So,
hey, Trudi, I'm Pete. We just lost Raj.
We should stop playing with things while he's on live.
He knows everything about the pumps anyway.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
So
what actually do you do at Comet? What's your job title?
My job title is the North American Product Manager for the Comet category. As I told you earlier, I've been with Comet for 30 years. Started importing diaphragm pumps with my dad. So my background is very much in diaphragm pumps. I lean on Raj a lot when it comes to the high pressure stuff. But as I always say, Softwash was the first pump that actually bridged lawn care and pest control type machines with the cleaning industry. So it's been a pleasure to watch. I personally think that when you bring technology from one industry to another, that's where the magic happens. And Softwash has been probably the fastest growing market that I've ever seen in my career. And just a lot of fun, a lot of good people. I think people are very, very active on social media, which makes product development a lot of fun.
again.
He's going to be jumping in and out, so just keep going, Pete. You got
it. Yeah. So what's really nice about that is that, where it would have taken you 2 years and 100 customer visits to get the kind of feedback that we can get on YouTube and things like this in a matter of days and hours is really fascinating.
Nice. So I've seen Comet. I mean, we've, it's one of the names that's been around with General Pump and Udor and AR. So, the pumps have been around. And I mean, it's a good quality pump. We've seen that it works. A lot of people with the P40. The problem with the P40 was all those weak links that has now been fixed. So all the weak areas in the P40, when I went, was it huge or the P? I think it's PWNA. I walked by and Raj was standing, and I'm like, whoa, what is this? It looks different. It looks like it's a one big solid piece, and it looks like it's going to hold up.
Yeah, well, I think all of us pump manufacturers would admit that in Softwash in particular, we've all made so many mistakes that, eventually we're going to chip them all away and make the perfect pump. But it has been a tough nut to crack. And a lot of times it's about timing. You can be the first one out with a pump. You can be the cheapest pump. You can do a lot of different things, but in the end, Softwash has a lot of demands. I feel really good about this latest version. I did also, I was pretty fond of the P36. I think keeping the pressure down with, like you said, all of those potential leak points, I felt like that was really important. And, the difference in spray distance was minimal, but we prevented a lot of leaks. And since then, again, I got to give credit to my competitors too. It's like a roller coaster ride. 1 minute you're ahead, the next minute you're learning from your competitors. So between all of us, I think we brought the industry to close to where it needs to be. I'm a salesman. I'm a Comet guy. I'm particularly fond of the P40, but I'm hoping that some of these changes we made on this last version really finally bring the equipment up to the task.
So we have some people. Alana Martinez is here. We've got the guys from Subs Marketing, RJ said something. Tanya Zale's here, and she said, we love our P40. It's a game changer, and she's the one that won it at the last Panhandle event.
Excellent.
She won it and put it on her trailer, and they're running with it, so they love it.
Awesome.
So hi to everybody that's here. If you have any questions, just type them in there, and I'll read them out for everybody. So Raj, how you been doing? You been jumping events and hanging out with people? That's your job title, right? That's what you do. Yeah, okay.
I do. Well, yeah. I mean, I slow down with traveling, with obviously going through pricing and a few things with tariff and all that. So we're just trying to get reorganized with everything that's been going on with that, and then probably start getting back out there on the road, traveling, visiting customers here in the next few weeks. So that's really about it. Just getting caught up on stuff. So how are you feeling now, though, Trudi?
I'm miserable because I didn't take my pain pill or my muscle relaxer, even though you told me to.
I told you to. This would have been a way different interview then.
Like, you can take it, we can make fun of you. And I'm like, he called me.
She was not going to do it. She was going in sober.
She knew I was gonna do it too.
Yeah. So Raj called me, and it was like I couldn't even get a sentence together. I was like just talking, and all of a sudden some random word would just flop in the middle, and I'm like, what am I even saying right now? So now I'm hurt, and I need to put my foot up on the trash can. But yeah, it's been rough. So I'm just I'm just gonna kick the second half of this year's ass is what I'm gonna do, because the first half kicked mine. So I'm gonna turn it right back around the second half, and I'm gonna give it what for.
That's the attitude.
Yeah.
Don't keep me down. I was in the hospital 3 days. I ended up going ambulance to the trauma center, and I didn't miss my happy birthdays the whole time I was in the hospital.
Man.
I could barely see that morning after I woke up, because they did that. They fixed my shoulder. They put my shoulder back in place, and got the tendons and ligaments everywhere they're supposed to be, but I still can't move my arm. So I'm hoping I don't have to have another surgery. But knowing me, that's probably what's going to happen.
No.
Then I got up the next morning. I did my happy birthdays while I was laying there waiting to get surgery on my foot. So we got Terry Gates here. Got a question. How many feet does the P40 shoot? I mean, obviously it's going to be variable on the hose and the gun and all that. But what you have tested it with? How many feet does it go?
Like you said, there's a lot of variables there. But I mean, with the right nozzle, right size hoses and everything like that, 50 feet, 53 feet is what I've seen. Obviously, the amount
I
of
seen 80 the other day on Facebook.
Say that again?
I seen 80 on Facebook the other day.
That's impressive. Was that on a gas engine or an electric motor?
It was on the P40.
Okay,
with a Honda.
With a Honda.
With the Honda.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's impressive. I'll leave it up to you guys to go out there and say it'll spray 80 feet, but
That's
I'll take your word for it.
We got
exactly.
Patrick Stevens on, and Chris Berkner said hi, Trudi, Raj, and Anthony. And he doesn't know you, Pete, but I'm sure he'll say hi to you now. He knows you.
All right.
Oh yeah.
Good to meet you.
But what would be the perfect setup to get the most distance out of the P40? What size hose? What gun would you recommend?
So that is a good question. And I'm a salesman, but you're leaving me a pretty big opportunity here to bring up our VI Power electric motors, because the truth is that it'll outperform a gas engine. And the reason for that is that when you eliminate that bypass, when you have a bypass loop, there is always some liquid bypassing.
Right.
And now that we're able to get the power of a gas engine, but with a pressure switch, now every turn of that shaft, that liquid has to go somewhere. And the only place for it to go is out the nozzle.
Nice.
So providing your nozzle can handle it, because we have tested with some water boss guns and realized that it can't keep up with the P40 on an electric motor unless we turn the speed down. Okay, but providing you have the right gun, I believe the RB65, the red gun, is up to a 16 gallon a minute, so that'll certainly handle the complete flow.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have to answer you honestly. The best setup with the maximum distance and no bypass issues is by putting it on an electric motor with a pressure switch.
So what are the specs on the electric motor?
So we have two motors right now. A VX120 is 3.4 horsepower, more than enough for the P40. The P40
120.
The VX120, and the P40 requires 2.3 horsepower at maximum flow and pressure. So we have more than enough motor just in our VX120. But then we also do a VX200, which is 6.7 horsepower motor. It's in the same shroud. It's just a little bit bigger motor inside. But for maximum battery life and more than enough power, a VX120 with a P40 and a pressure switch is the hot spot right now.
So what hose would you use with that? Because I know a lot of the ag hose, you have a hard time finding more than 300 PSI on ag hose. We found one that is 800 PSI that we sell for the MoFlow, that's Leon John's pump. We happened to find one through, we kept calling everybody. We found somebody that had one because we couldn't find a hose that would work with his. So we finally found one. So we do have a hose. Oops, that was my trash can. 800 PSI.
Mm-hmm. So
600, I think it's 800, but it might be 6. But anyway, it's more. No, I think it's 8.
Yeah.
We've got Shannon Roser saying, how you doing? Yeah, I'm doing okay, Shannon. Just sore and in pain and tired of being on the couch. Feel like I should buy some bonbons and start watching soap operas. And then Patrick said he gets 60 foot with his. And then we got Panhandles up here giving the information on the event. So, Raj, you said you're going to bring that electric.
So, yeah, the plan is to bring the P40 on the VI powered unit, and then also we'll be doing demos outside, hopefully with this unit as well. So we'll have it obviously on display, and then we're going to run it with. Probably be RB65 or water boss gun. Haven't decided yet on that, but we're hoping to do some demos with there so everybody can come out and see how it works, see how far it's throwing it, and just overall performance of the VI power that we're trying to obviously show the market.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited, and we do as long as the weather stays. It's been good. Knock on wood. Every time we'll do the circuit training the first day on Wednesday, and then Thursday we've got speakers, but the parking lot will be cleaned, so you can set up your demo. We do have demo time, so we just have to get you in an area where you could set it, and you could be out there playing with it, because the people that don't want to go to the classes or don't want to listen to speakers, they could be outside. And we have a lot of people that just wander around and get to see everything. So you'll have an opportunity to do the demo on that. And we got Bryce Ewing. Hey, he said good evening, Miss Trudi. Hey, so he's here listening. Scott Dorian's here from Virginia. Oh, and he said hello, everyone from Southern Louisiana. So he didn't want to leave you guys out. But no, I'm excited about that. So a lot of guys, they're asking, what's the difference? Do they have to? Which, I tell them the answer because Raj told me everything. But they ask me, do I need to change anything? All the fittings different? Is it the same? And so between the old P40 and the new P40, are any of the hose barbs or any of the fittings going to be different on that?
No, they are all the same, except I think we increased the size of the bypass on the regulator. I think we went from 1/2 inch to 3/4.
Okay. Boy, that was a big jump.
Yeah.
But before it screws on to the P40, you can unscrew your old one and screw it on there.
Yeah.
Because it interchanges with the AR45 too, because I just took my AR off and put the P40 on a few weeks ago, and everything it unscrewed and screwed right in there. So it was kind of like a plug and play.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There is some differences. If you have the old P40 and you wanted to convert it to the new style, you have to buy the manifold, obviously, but then it also has a different mounting plate, and you have to have the new regulator, because the new regulator does not fit the old manifold.
So Raj said you guys are going to have a conversion kit.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
We got Bryce. He wants me to tell you guys about his AR80, and then he said LOL. So with that AR80 and the new P40, I haven't messed with an AR80. I've seen the AR40s and AR45s in the 60s, but I have not seen an 80. So I'm just assuming it's just a bigger pump. I've not played with that, so I don't know if you want to answer that.
I'm not familiar with the AR80. Obviously, the AR45, and then there's the 25. I'm not familiar with the AR80.
I never heard of it.
No, but that's a good opportunity for us to point out two pumps that we do have that a lot of people aren't aware of. We do have an M55, which is externally identical to the P40, but it is a 14.5 gallon a minute pump. And we also have a BPX 25, which is a 7.2 gallon a minute, 220 PSI pump. It's a 2 diaphragm, so it costs a lot less than the P40. It will perform about as good as a P40 on a gas engine if you put it on our electric motor. Again, going back to that bypass issue with the pressure switch, 7.2 gallons, you're not getting that out of your nozzle right now with a P40 on a gas engine. The back pressure is putting anything more than that into bypass anyway. And the reason I have high hopes for the BPX 25 is because at that flow and pressure, again, you would have the performance of a P40, but it'll give you a lot more battery time.
Nice.
So
when he's saying battery time, he's saying, Pete, just to clarify, we're talking about 2 hours continuous run time on the BPX pump, and with the P40 on a battery operated system, 90 minutes, and that is on a continuous run time, correct?
Yes, so it's 2.5 hours on the BPX 25, and it's 90 minutes on a P40. That is full flow and pressure. And like I said, with the Water Boss gun, we had to turn it down to 2,600 RPMs because otherwise the pump was too much for the gun. It was just kept creating back pressure, and it would flip the pressure switch. So most guys, you're not always spraying full out the most flow and pressure that you can, unless you're spraying a roof from the ground or something like that. A lot of times you're doing detail work, and when you're doing that detail work, you're hardly using battery at all. So I like to tell the story. When we were testing these things, we did 2 of the largest houses I've ever seen down in Naples, Florida. We did roof, siding, and driveways. And by the time we were done with those 2 jobs, our total trigger time, because keep in mind, when we talk about battery life, the only time this thing's working is when you're on the trigger. There's no bypass. Our total trigger time was 24 minutes on 2 houses. And so a lot of people really overestimate the amount of time that they're on that trigger, and that gas engine is running for hours. And our motor keeps track of your job time, so it's real easy to tell. So I do encourage people, don't overestimate how long you're on that trigger. And another important thing to point out is that with the electric motors, you can also run AC power. So if you can use the customer's power, you can run it right through the charger, right through the battery, or you can take a small inverter generator with you and really, really extend your runtime, or just, you would just use it in the case of an emergency. But the people that have them cannot believe how little they're actually on that trigger.
So you could go wash all day and off of just one battery charge.
Yeah. In our initial tests, there's a pretty good sized Softwash company, and they were charging the battery after 3 days, and it still had 60% of its life left.
Okay, I got a couple questions here. Jeremy Messer is here. Hey, Jeremy. He wants to know, are the electric setups for sale yet?
They are in limited quantity,
Okay.
But we have a bunch more coming in. So I would reach out to your equipment suppliers, Trudi in particular, and get your orders in as soon as possible.
And then we have Todd Wiskowski, Mike Wazowski. He said, we just bought 2 of the newer P40s about a couple of months ago. They both leak oil from the pump reservoir. Can you help me out why having to add oil every day from it dripping on the base plate? Do we know why it's leaking?
So our initial 2 shipments came with too much oil in the reservoir. And I would suggest that if you just take a couple ounces out, the problem should go away. Don't keep topping it off. Clean it up, take a couple ounces off. It should stop after a while, but don't keep topping it off. And it should.
We got Logan Odom. He said, I saw the new electric P40 in action in Wilmington and spoke to Raj. I was very impressed. And like the manifold changes, I am weary of dealing with swapping batteries while working long days, but not having to deal with bypass issues. I think it's worth the trade-off. With that being said, could you charge it from your truck somehow, like while you're driving? Is there a way to hook it up so while your truck's running, it's charging that battery? Is there a way? Is that a possibility?
That is a very good question, and by October, we will have a 12 to 56 volt converter so that you can run it preferably off a high amp alternator, but you will be able to charge from your truck and actually work while it's charging. So you can run it right off of the power. The thing there to remember, and I'm not an electrical engineer, but there's input and output. And if the pump is consuming more power than you're putting into it, you are still going to drain the battery and run a deficit. But just as an example, the P40 plugged in to an inverter generator, a 2000 watt inverter generator, will run for about 240 minutes. So that I'm not in the field all day, so I can't say for sure, but to me, that's a full day of working.
And I remember I met Logan. I think we were running the drone possibly at that time when we were doing the demo. So
Nice.
we've used, So we've used the water boss gun as well in that demo.
Nice. Okay, so we got Bryce Ewing. Is the M55 gasoline powered? That's a 14.5 gallon per minute one, correct?
It's identical to the P40 3/4 inch shaft, and so it would hook up exactly the same way.
Okay, and Todd Wazowski said, okay, I will try that. He'll not add it and see if it stops leaking. So,
And if it don't work, Todd, get a hold of one of us and we'll get you in touch with whoever we need to get you in touch with to get that problem fixed.
We sure will. We sure will. Yeah, we did. We had the RV and we borrowed somebody's trailer and it had a winch. So when we plugged it up to the RV, we've had trailers we don't plug when we plug up, but they don't have any electrical power to them. So we got to the campsite and none of our power was working in the RV because the power from the trailer was pulling it, and we were going crazy. We were calling people, and somebody's like, well, you have power on your trailer? And we're like, no. And then Shane's like, yeah, I think he's got a winch. So we unplugged the damn trailer and everything works. It's like, oh man.
Yeah. So I do want to just clarify something for the people that are considering that M55. It's important to keep in mind that if you have 1/2 inch swivels on your hose reel, you're using a 1/2 inch hose, you're using a water boss gun, the same equipment that you're using on a P40, just because you have a pump that pushes more liquid, it's not going to go out the nozzle.
Right.
Okay. You need more pressure to get more out the nozzle. And so all you're going to be doing if you have the exact same setup, is sending more liquid into bypass and probably making your bypass more sensitive. Gotcha. So unless you're going to change, move to a bigger hose reel, swivel, and core, and a bigger gun, the RB65 would be plenty. But if your gun is already limiting, your nozzle's already limiting what's coming out of it, the M55 is not going to increase your performance.
All right, so we got Jared Swan on here. We got TJ Ford. We got Pressure. Hey, Josh. So we got Josh and TJ and Jared. Hey, guys.
Hey, fellas. Good to see you. We're here.
Jared said, whoa, yo, what's up, everyone? Raj Daddy in the house. So,
Jared.
TJ,
there he is. TJ. All right.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, DJ. And Josh, got his pressure washing, said he popped up and he's like sending love. So thank you. So Todd also has a question. Do you get better results using the water boss with the P40s? Currently, we are using the red or blue gun that normally will get good distance, but the red or blue gun on the P40 gets less distance. Is it because there's more flow? He's getting less distance, so it's not a lot of.
So distance is a balance between flow and pressure. Mm-hmm. So the water boss gun is probably just giving him enough pressure where he's exceeding the nozzle on the RB65 is a little bit bigger, I believe.
It is.
So again, it's a balance between flow and pressure. And again, the soap matters too. The soap increases your droplet size, could make it heavier, could make it fall faster. On the contrary, if you have no soap and you're atomizing all your liquid, it can blow away before it hits the target. So it's really a game. And, that's why there's no substitute for a good equipment manufacturer to kind of coach you through all that stuff.
And that is another reason about not using surfactant. Guys like, I never use surfactant. There you go. That's another reason why you should.
But mine is set up. I got a 5/8 hose.
Mm-hmm.
I got the red gun.
Yep.
When I'm on the trigger, my pressure is like 150, 175.
Mm-hmm.
And I get a good 40 feet. I mean, that's plenty what I wash around here.
Yeah.
So where would is that ideal pressure Because I know if you let off your trigger, you don't want it to go all the way over into the yellow and red and stay there, because that's just damaging your pump.
Yeah. So the regulator should prevent it from going into the red. The regulator should adjust itself when you come off the trigger. The problem is that the way most of the regulators are made, the liquid actually comes into contact with the piston that moves up and down. So when you just get a little bit of superficial rust on there, that piston will get stuck. And so when you let off the trigger, it won't move. It won't do what it's supposed to do. And so that's where you get all these pressure spikes, and that's where all the leaks come from. And again, I'm a Comet salesman, but on this new P40, in the regulator, we put a diaphragm so that the piston does not come into contact with the liquid. So that regulator, when you get pressure spikes, that regulator should always absorb it and keep it from making leaks in your manifold.
Well, I know you don't like just pressure washer. You set your gun down, talk to the customer for 30 minutes. No way you're going to still do that with a P40, correct? So how long do you recommend somebody not to stay off that trigger? I mean,
so here's my understanding. Okay, bypass can create heat, and a lot of you guys have come up with solutions for that. You have your long bypass hoses, you soak them in water many times, and I don't believe that with 290 psi you're going to create a ton of heat, although you are in the sun down in Florida with chemicals. So that's kind of a, that's a subjective issue. If you have, most of the time, it's not just how long you're running the bypass. Most of the pressure spikes come when you turn the engine on or off and you don't have that trigger pulled.
okay.
That is the biggest culprit when it comes to the leaks. We have taken, as you said earlier, just about all of the leak points out of the manifold that we possibly can. We do still have end caps. That's just because of the way the manifold is injection molded. Those end caps don't ever have to come off. It's not like you can check the valves by taking those off or anything. Yeah. So what we've done is eliminated as many leak points as we can. We have put that diaphragm in the regulator so that it'll always absorb pressure spikes. And we've also moved the suction fitting from where it used to be, which was opposite the discharge. I'm pointing because I have the picture on my other screen. But here, let me pull it up for you.
While you're doing that, we got Anthony Harvest here, Michael Musi, he cuts their last name off. He thought Logan Odom invented the P40. I don't know. Barry Little's here. He said, "Never fear, Papa's here."
Papa's here.
Yeah, Papa's here. And Charles here. He said, "Howdy, howdy," and he's actually tagging somebody in. So Todd said, "Red or blue guns get better distance on the AR-45 than it does on the P40. We used the AR for 6 years and just replaced both of them." With both of them with the P40s. So he's getting less distance, which a lot of our guys, that's what they want. They want the distance.
Okay, well.
The distance and the flow, not one or the other. They just want both. They want both to be happy.
Yeah.
So what I don't understand about that, I have heard that the P40 does more. I've heard that the AR-45 does more. And honestly, I don't know what to think of either of those because they are both the same flow and pressure.
I mean,
I didn't see when we swapped mine out between, we went from the AR to the P40. As far as distance goes, I didn't see a real big change.
There shouldn't be.
Now, when you hit the trigger, the P40, it has a little kick to it, which the AR really didn't have that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's about the only thing. So I'm guessing it probably might be putting out a little bit more pressure when the squeeze, the initial hit comes to the gun. Then
It could be the design of the manifold too. If you look at that round path on the AR45, this one, crosses each other on the internal because both the suction and the discharge are in that one manifold.
Right.
That could also, it could be, there very well could be a difference in how the flow makes it to the nozzle.
All right, so we've got Shannon Rose there. This isn't about the pump, but he's got a question. He just lists off what he's using, and people said, Marcus Rafe said, flow is more important than PSI. Please answer. Yes, you don't want to blast. I would rather have an 8 at 35 than a 4 at 4,400 PSI. You don't need that much pressure for anything in pressure washing, because now we all soft wash with our pressure washer. We use the chemicals, the right chemicals get it off. We don't have to walk up to a vinyl siding with 4,400 PSI and blast it with the fan tip. We no longer have to do that. We do it more, with the chemicals, we're more efficient and with less damages. So yes, Shannon, it is true that flow is more important to PSI. And that's why a lot of guys that's why the Softwash came in, because it's way more flow with less PSI. Seal and Lockett here, and he said, I love the P40 over the AR. Charles Taunton said, I'm designing an AR100. It will be Bluetooth washing, no more hoses. Hey, Charles, when you get that figured out, you come on by, okay? So I had a question and it went away. So, so if anything, Barry Little's got a question or a statement. P40 is better than the AR45, in my opinion. I have both old and new ones currently. I also rode the MoFlow and the electric pump tech. So as far as the P40 versus AR45, P40 is my pick on those two.
Yes.
With all that equipment, how the hell has he got time to sell plants?
Don't get him started.
How does he have time to sell plants, Barry?
So if anything on P40, if
we ain't going there, Raj.
it's not 100%.
No, we better not. I should have left it.
So if something is going to go wrong, if something's going to crack or leak or pop off or whatever on the new P40, what is it going to be? What do these guys need to look for?
So, honestly speaking, I have to say that the first thing a lot of guys do is put your own fittings on these pumps. These pumps are made for agricultural lawn care and turf sprayers. They do not get the beating that they do in the soft wash industry. A lot of times the plumbing is very different. So I have to admit that, in my opinion, these fittings with the wing nuts are probably the weak point.
Okay. All right. We're not talking about plants, Barry. Everybody can read it. So.
Barry's a good guy. Appreciate him coming on here. He's giving us some attention at the shows too. We appreciate it.
Barry, last time we were on here together, he was talking about plants, Pete, and that's where it all comes about, selling plants. That's why we're joking around.
Well, yeah, because we had him on as a guest and he couldn't figure it out. So we had Raj come, and who else was it? It was Raj and
then it was Barry,
wasn't it?
I think Barry jumped on afterwards.
Yeah, they come in right toward the end, and we went like 45 minutes over.
Yeah, and then we went from pressure washing talk to plant talk. I mean, the whole segment with Barry was plants, which is great. I mean, he's a great guy. He supports and lifts up everybody. Like, he doesn't put anybody down. Like, if you have a question, he's going to be the one to say, like, here, you got a question, let me not tell you, let me show you. That's the mentality he has. He's a great guy. TJ said the P40 is way easier to work on than the AR45.
Yeah.
And then we got the registration for the Panhandle show, which Raj is going to be there. Are you going to be there also, Pete? Are you ready?
I'm not sure yet. Sometimes during those couple of weeks, there's a big show in Italy. Not sure if I'm going this year, but I would love to come down sometime for sure.
I mean, if you want me to take your place in Italy, I would love to do that. And you could
Wait a minute here. Okay, everybody stop. Let's stop. You're
gonna lose the two hosts of the Panhandle show. We're going to Italy.
I was going to say, wait a minute here. Let's stop there right now. If anybody's going to be going to Italy, it's this guy.
Well, you got this. You got this show to do, Raj.
You know, I mean, Pete,
So,
if you really want, we can switch spots. I
yeah.
mean,
All my work's going to be done. So, well, actually, I'm one of the speakers, so darn it, I can't. But no, that's on my bucket list. Greece and Italy, and just all that little area there. Just Italian food's my favorite. And it's the most fattening, so I don't eat much, but I love it. So Barry's got a question. Barry Little, even though the MoFlow, do you pick the P40? So now it's so do you recommend getting a bigger PSI hose, like instead of the 300? Do you recommend getting something larger?
So 300 is that's probably got like a 4 times burst rating. So you know that's more than enough. We use a 600 a lot of times.
That's probably what we have, not 800. I just haven't been in the warehouse since November.
Yeah, hoses, hoses are coming a long way too. I've seen a lot of good, interesting stuff out there. So I'm not a hose expert, but I'm pretty impressed with some of the lightweight hoses that are out there now.
Yeah. Also, the ag hoses. A lot of guys buy that. When we were looking for the hose for the MoFlow, we had hoses come in. And ag hoses, a lot of them, they put pinholes in them just because they release the gas for the agricultural industry. So when we get it, the only thing we're leaking is SH. So, Shane bought one first and didn't realize it had pinholes that was going all over his truck and all over his skid. And he's getting mad and called the manufacturer. It's like, well, we put pinholes in there to release the gases. So if anybody's looking for a higher PSI, make sure that's not it's not one with the pinholes, because you could cause a huge big mess.
Is that the hose he tried to sell me down there that had hose
No.
on in it?
No, that's the good one. The hoses that he took off his truck?
Yeah.
No, that was his friend talked him into buying 400 foot of Flexzilla, and he used it once and took it off.
I'll use it all the time. We just roll off what we need, 100 foot, and hook it up to the water. We don't run it through our reels.
No, we do. All right, so.
Y'all different down there anyway.
Ouch.
Y'all can't even drive on the road without falling off.
Me?
Yeah.
I know that. I can't even go down to a friend's party for the Derby and not get in a wreck. I wasn't driving, by the way, just so everybody knows. Barry Litter said, Adam, you've got to understand, I have 5 trailers and flatbeds, so they all serve a purpose. MoFlow is my go-to unit day in, day out. So ouch. She said, Shane's getting mad. I don't know, Shane's not getting mad. I don't even know if he's watching. He usually doesn't. But, yeah, I mean, it came from, you asked Raj when I walked by, and I walked by and I looked and I stopped and I backed up and I'm like, what is this? What is this going on here? So it's impressive. It's beefy. It looks like the Hulk compared to what it is, just because it's just so solid.
And we'll be at the Huge convention. Stay tuned. We're going to be introducing a couple new items as well at the show. So just as we get working on some other stuff, we'll be introducing a couple things at the Huge convention.
Okay, and you're going to bring those to my convention too, right?
Those will be at yours for sure as well. Possibly on a demo unit as well.
That demo unit, the back of my truck.
Are you bringing your truck?
Are you bringing a truck now?
If that demo unit's going on back of my truck, it'll be there.
Hey, we got 3 trucks.
Hey, easy, Trudy. Y'all get all the free stuff.
Well, okay, see, Trudy's got that,
Yeah, I'm the one that's out there pushing this stuff. All right, so Lex is here. Hey, Lex.
Hey, Shane O'Max in the house.
Shane is here. He's put the
there.
It is for the 800 PSI half-inch Softwash hose. So that's the half-inch Softwash hose I've been talking about.
Lexi popped in here on us too.
Yeah.
Shane said best hose on the market for Softwash. So he's been running it. He loves it. You know us, we won't carry anything that we won't use. So if people's like, is it any good? I'm like, if it's in our warehouse, it's good, because we don't sell crap we won't use. I mean, we're out in the field. I was out in the field 16 years full time. Shane's still out in the field. And we're not going to sell contractors something that we know is going to fail, because that just makes us both look bad. I don't want those phone calls to say, hey, you know, what do I do this to doing this? I don't want that. I'd rather just sell good quality stuff. Is it a little bit more than you can buy on Amazon? It sure is. But guess what? You're going to have the support and the backup of your distributor, of your vendor, and from the suppliers. So, just make sure. I see a lot of guys online popping up stuff, and I'm just like, man, and then they're mad because it doesn't work. And they're calling me, saying,
Hey, off Amazon.
Oh, Charles said, hey, Uncle Shane. Wait, does that make me your auntie? I guess it does. Oh, man. It's a big family, I tell you. We got a lot of kids, a lot of brothers, a lot of uncles in here in this industry, and I love it. It's a great industry to be in. But like you were saying earlier, Pete, that the Softwash has just blown up. And it was because when I started, it was a 12 volt. If you wanted to do anything roofs or any brick or anything or stucco that had been washed in 20 years. And then once it started, it was just blew up. And then everybody's, coming in and coming up with something else and something better. And that's how, it's not like the first ones were bad, but the next person to make it figures it out. Oh, okay, well, mine can do this, yours can do, and it keeps going. So the longer you guys are going to be in the industry, there's going to be more stuff that you wish you had back when you started, but it wasn't available then.
Yeah,
so,
like I said, we've made every mistake you possibly can make, and that's what leads to a good product in the end. And I know that I'm biased, but I do believe that we've gone from the wild, wild west days of Softwash finally to a place where the equipment is up to the task.
Yes,
so
I believe so too.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
So I guess my name is Auntie True True, so that's good.
That's what it said on there. True, yeah.
Yeah, it did. So Charles said, now everybody does it for $95.99. Well, it's going to be $99.99 after the tariffs come in.
Yep. That's
at least.
Yeah.
I know I started out
going.
soft washing with the pressure washer, with the J-rod.
Yep, me too. With a little ball valve, turn off my soap, and then the MoFlow came along.
And it's, to me, it's come a long way.
Yeah.
So I can imagine 17 years. You got 7 years on me washing, so I can imagine what them 7 years before that was like.
I used to sell a plastic coated diaphragm pump to a guy in South Carolina 25 years ago, and this guy was, at least in his mind, the first one to figure out that these diaphragm pumps were good for soft wash, and he begged me not to sell it to anybody in South Carolina because he was making so much money with it. And that was a plastic coating, which, if there's even a pinhole in it from the factory or anything like that, the pump might last, less than a month, but the guy was making so much money he didn't care.
Yeah.
And we've come all this way, and like I said, I have to admit, I'm sure my competitors would too, we've all made mistakes. And the funny thing about Softwash is things don't necessarily fail right away. A problem can creep up after a year that is a catastrophic problem. And it's happened, and we've all been there. So with the P36 and the P40 now, because even the P40's had its share of issues. Right. I feel really good, but I also feel like I'm riding that wave and hoping to keep making improvements, because I know the soft wash industry just does not stop making improvements.
And one of the things I just want to point out, when Pete is talking about, we also make a conversion kit with the manifold and the regulator and a kit that will allow you to take your P40 that you have currently now, the older style, and convert it with the new manifold. So we've created a kit that will allow you to be able to do that as well.
And we actually have that same kit, Raj, that so you can go from a gas engine to our electric motor system.
Yep. So
with your old P40.
Yep.
Well, I do have a question, Pete. If you're post-treating a driveway or a parking lot or whatever with SH, say you forget to rinse your hose out or your machine out, how long do you reckon it would? If your person done that day after day after day after day, I know it can't be good for the pump.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, no, it's not going to be good for the pump, but that's a very difficult question to answer because you have different concentrations. You don't know, where the liquid is pooled up in the hose. You have, depending on what hose you're using, sunshine can degrade the SH over time. So I knew somebody was going to throw me something real hard, and that's the hard one to answer right there.
Hey, that's what she pays me the money for.
Yeah.
Crazy. So I mean,
that's what Rod's going to throw that new pump on the back of my truck this year for.
I'm good, Lord.
Something tells me, that's going to be heading out sooner.
So another thing, how many of these guys that buy an AR45 or P40, I don't know about the MoFlow needs that, but how many of these guys do you think start it without holding the trigger? I mean, is it possible to start it without holding the trigger?
Yes, it'll start.
It is. So I mean, that's damaging. It can cause issues with your pumps, right?
Well, it can cause issues with your internal bypass.
Okay.
Not just the pump. And again, when that regulator sticks, when that piston inside the regulator sticks, there's no give there. Mm-hmm. Technically, you're supposed to flip the bypass lever before you start the engine. Now,
that was my next question.
Starting it with the pressure on a 290 psi pump isn't the end of the world. Mm-hmm. But if that 290 psi pump has become a 500 psi pump because the regulator won't move, you're gonna have problems with the internal bypass.
Okay.
So do you need to flip the pressure gauge on and off when you're turning it on and off, or just leave it on?
So technically, the manufacturer would say, like the manufacturer's recommendation would be to have the bypass open when you start the engine. Again, that is a general rule for all diaphragm pumps, but some diaphragm pumps are 1,000 psi. So there it's going to make a big difference. A 290 psi pump, it's not that big of a difference, but again, we're internally bypassing here. So my recommendation would be to open the bypass entirely.
Okay. Because the people I got mine from, he said leave it open all the time. He said don't even touch it.
I've heard that.
So if it comes spontaneously combust one day, I'm gonna get to come back.
Yeah, well, what's going to happen is the bypass loop's going to fill up sooner or later, and that liquid's got to go somewhere. So your bypass loop is acting like your pressure regulator, basically.
Yep.
Okay, and Todd said, I truly believe that's why our AR45 lasted 5 years, because we always flushed the line and pumps after every job. Additionally, we didn't run high PSI until we had to. So yeah, just little things to take care of your equipment. I know we got little ball valves and it's not on water. I'm like, who didn't rinse this out? And they're like, oh, we did. No, you didn't, because the ball valve's not on the water side, you're on the chemical side. So, we rinse out religiously. Even at 12 volt, we rinse the ejectors, we rinse every high pressure hose, Softwash, we rinse everything at the end of the night. At the end of the day, when we're done, our last job, that's it. We got them all running. We got the hose on the ground. We're letting them rinse out, and then we put it away. So it's all put away clean because you don't want that sitting in anything, especially high pressure. It's the inside of your hose. All the metal in there will rust, and then you'll start blowing. And people blame it on the hose, but I've had guys in here with a hose that's blown and said, "Oh, I rinse or an injector. I rinse it out every time, and I turn his machine on, and there's a ton of black water that comes out." And I'm like, "Well, there you go. That's the inside of your hose and your injector. So no, you didn't rinse it out. Otherwise, it wouldn't look like that." So it's like little things like that will make your equipment last longer.
Yeah.
It may take you a little bit longer to do, a few 5-10 minutes, but guess what? That's going to save your equipment.
Yep. For sure.
For
sure.
So,
Man, we've
right.
been on here 55 minutes already.
Yeah.
We're doing good. So you were going to the, you're going to the huge, the PWNA is not doing anything, or PWNA is not doing anything this year.
No.
So they're going to be at my event also, and you're coming to mine.
So I'll be.
August is huge, right?
So I'll do the huge convention. Comet will be at the huge convention. CETA, your event as well. And then I think PWNA is not until January or February next year now.
I think. Yeah, it's early. Yeah, it's the beginning of the
So when
year.
is the huge?
August, I think, isn't it?
August.
Yep.
They're in the same place again.
Yep. So. Yeah, and then I think CETA's at the end of September. And then obviously Trudi will have your event, and so and then in between there, maybe walking a few shows like the carpet cleaning show, and see some of that, and just visit some of those other shows.
Nice. Tom said, how many years can we get out of the P40? There's a random question.
That's
a long time if you take care of it. That's a
loaded question.
It is a loaded question.
That's a loaded question. I have had people call me, like the P40 is not that old, but I have had people call me and say, I've had my diaphragm pump for 20 years and I've never touched it. Should I change the oil or something? And, especially with Buna diaphragms, they maintain their elasticity for a really long time. So it is possible. But with sodium hypochlorite, chances are you're going to be at least changing valves now and then.
Right. And then we've got any pump, if you treat it as disposable, will be. And that is true. That's
very true.
Yep.
That is true. So we are almost out. Raj, you want to say anything? And we'll let you speak.
You've been awful quiet there, Raj.
No, this was a big opportunity, just like I said, to have Pete on here with us, being the knowledge that he has on the diaphragm pumps. And so kind of wanted him to take over on that side of it. And I think we got a lot of great feedback, a lot of knowledge. So I appreciate him jumping in on this as well and giving us more information on the P40. So that's really it for now.
And Pete, if you're not going to Italy, and I'm not going to Italy, I guess I'll see you at my show.
I would
that
be
means
glad
Raj
to be
is going
there.
to Italy. That means Raj is going to Italy.
Raj can't go.
Yes.
Raj can't go.
Raj can't go. So, guys, Panhandle.
Jessica probably need a babysitter. You can't go.
The Panhandle Expo.
But she was watching this, by the way, I think. So
she's not on here. She ain't said nothing.
Who?
She sent me a text saying, she was on here, but
we can only see them if they comment. So we got people on there who's not commenting, so you might be in trouble, Anthony.
Okay. I'll stay there.
Anyway, so the expo. The link to the expo is right here under the Panhandle Expo. Make sure you register. It's going to be a great time. Raj, you have been going to events for 28 years, you said?
I've been with Comet for 24 years, going on 25. Yep.
Okay, so you've been going to events. And tell everybody a little bit about the Panhandle event. Last year was one of the best.
Last year was amazing. Honestly, new products, that were out there, demos. Great information. Crowd was amazing. A really good turnout. It really was. And continuing to grow. I think that was my second one, I believe, that I've been to. And like I said, it was a really great event. a lot of communication going on in terms of knowledge, training, just working with equipment. So I really look forward to this show. It's been getting bigger and bigger every year.
The first one you went to was kind of wild, wasn't it? Last year was kind of
you
tamed
guys
down.
are, Pete's probably going to sit over there and say, "Is this guy really working, or is he having fun?"
He's worth every penny of it.
I hear about all this stuff after the fact. I have people come up to me.
Show without Raj there, man.
I have people come up to me after the fact and they say, "Yeah, I had a bunch of beers with this guy from Comet at the last show I was at." I said, "Yeah, I could tell who that was."
Ain't nobody.
Hey, that's
nobody gonna feed with him. We ain't gonna have it.
Yeah. I think the first one was a little bit, and then second one wasn't too bad, like I said, but it was a great show. This last one, definitely recommend folks to come out and see new products, new machines, and just technology and things that are coming that way.
And just to talk to the suppliers, the people that make
the
items you buy from us. Oh.
Love you, babe.
I was like, that's not your wife.
Huh?
That's not your wife.
My future daughter-in-law.
Oh, okay. I was just like.
Now Trudy's getting him his Anthony.
She said that wasn't your wife.
I'll put my big old boot and try and drive, and I'll protect Tracy. It might take me a minute to get there, but man, I almost came through this screen. I'm like, who the hell that? Anyway, so we're over, guys. Pete, is there anything else you want to say?
No, if you'll allow me a shameless plug, I would just like to say that, we're really excited about our electric motors, and in combination with these diaphragm pumps, I think that, like I said earlier, it really brings the equipment up to the task. I think getting rid of that bypass is huge. Once you go to this electric, it's really difficult to go back to gas and oil.
Yeah.
Your maintenance is less, and what will happen in the industry now that the equipment is up to the task is I do believe that there's going to be a lot of more opportunity for franchising. And, I encourage people to just look into it and see what the difference is for yourself. Having the flexibility of on demand with the power of a gas engine makes you real productive. So I really look forward to seeing people at shows, and hope they'll come by and take a look.
Is that going to be price range at like the P40 is itself, or is it going to be like more expensive?
So the P40 is part of the system still. So, right. But here's how I'll say it. And you're asking me at a strange time because of tariffs, but as of right now, we don't have plans to change our pricing. So an end user should expect to pay about 2.5 more times for an electric system than they would for the gas. Okay. But you have to keep in mind that includes 10 years of gas and maintenance, because the battery's good for 2,500 cycles minimum, which is about 10 years of work.
Nice.
And so, if you make that investment up front, the payback is ridiculous.
All right. Well, that's going to be demonstrated at the Panhandle event. So we'll have the electric one there. Awesome. So everybody can see it and look at it, put hands on it, put eyes on it. And that's what we like to see. We like to see things in action, and it's a great opportunity at the Panhandle to see all that with our outdoor demonstrations.
That's why we have this show, right, Trudy?
What?
That's why we have this show, right?
That's exactly why we have this show.
Exactly.
For education, for you guys to put your hands on things and ask questions to the people that make them. So, right straight from the horse's mouth.
We're going to put a sign on Trudy. Her shirt's going to say, "Do not touch. I'm fragile. I break." And I'm gonna bring the mower out and wrap her up.
Alana's on here. She probably is going to make one now.
I think that might happen, actually.
Hey, A lot of make her a bubble suit. She needs.
Shane's been telling me that for years. Like, I'll be across the street, and he's like, I got to take my hose off my pump, and it's all chlorine. So go across the road, and he'll pop it up, and a piece of wind will just, and I've got a dot in my eyeball. And I'm like, he said, I need to put you in the truck before doing that. Like, I was away. I mean, I don't know how, but it was right in my eyeball every time. But anyway, guys, thank you for joining us. You guys don't hang up. Since I hang up, we'll say our goodbyes. But everybody, thank you for coming on tonight, and all the guests. Thank you.
Yes,
and
thank you very much. It was a great opportunity.
Thank you very much as well.
Alana said, hold her beers while she makes my shirt, I think.
Done.
Oh, geez.
This is going to be funny. Anyway, guys, go to panhandleexpo.com. Get registered for the panel event in November. It's going to be a great show. We look forward to seeing everybody there. Let's make this the biggest one yet. Let's estimate, Trudy, how many people? 550?
Let's do 550. Let's do that.
550. We need
You know what might be a good game is we can get a metal detector, and whoever can find the metal in my body first can win the prize.
Well, I know where that's at, so
Everything Ruby knows where it is.
See everybody. Y'all have a good evening.
All right.
Bye, everybody.